Welcome back. Joe and I have been talking, and thanks to Shannon for giving us some tips. We're gonna try to do this again. And here comes Joe now. Hey, Joe. Now your mic's off. Can you turn your mic on?
Right there.
There it is.
Sorry about that, guys.
No problem. No problem. You know what? That's part of the fun, and that's just the way it goes. So, why don't you introduce yourself, where you're from, how you got your start in the tile industry?
Sure, sure. I'm out of North Jersey, based out of Morris County. We're about 15, 20 minutes away from the Lincoln Tunnel, New York City. I picked up this trade through my father.
Okay.
My father immigrated here in the 80s. I grew up into the trade. My father's old school, so he taught me. He wanted me and my brother to learn the business as a trade to fall back on, but he wanted us to get a college education. So every summer we would go to work with him, 3 months, agonizing. I said, I'm never doing this. I'm never doing this when I get older. I'm going to get a college degree, get a, work in the finance industry, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be a CEO. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked corporate America for a bit after that, for a bit.
So you did work in corporate America. I remember you telling me that in Vegas. You went to school for financing. So what was your job?
I worked up the ranks. I end up prior to the Great Recession, I was a asset manager. I oversaw about an $8 billion real estate portfolio. I had about 40, 50 people working under me across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're trying to bring this company public. It was a Fortune 500 company, went private, then we're trying to bring it public, but then the financial crisis came in, and then but basically, I dealt with leases. We had to do capital raises. We had probably about $4 or $5 billion of debt, so we had to set up refinancing mechanisms. I was part of the crew for the acquisitions during the financial crisis because we were flush at the time with cash. I did a lot of financial modeling with the company. It was just like a whole, during the Great Recession, you pretty much wore a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Because you were running, a tight operation. So.
Was that enjoyable for you? Was that stressful? I mean, what kind of, I mean, I know your mind is kind of, made for that, it seems like. Is it?
I'm programmed. I'm programmed to work with my hands and as well as work behind a desk, crunching numbers.
That's
Is it
great.
stressful? Yeah, during the tax season, absolutely, because you have to fill in for get all the documents ready before year end, reporting progresses. You have about 40, 50 people that you need there. They have to work with you in order to get all that information across the different time zones. So that's a little, you got your pros and cons.
Sure.
You're working. If you're in the tile industry, when you're in the tile industry, also there's a pro and con. You're on your own business individual, entrepreneur. But but you're getting your hands dirty. It's two different avenues.
So when did you make the switch, and tell us about that? Like why back into tile?
Survival.
Okay.
You're in a survival mode.
During the financial
Like I said,
recession or
yeah, the great financial recession. I never got my master's degree. I was pursuing my CFA. Kind of stopped during the financial crisis. It was a big mistake. I always worked when I was working for corporate America because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed with my hands. My father. Makes work Sundays, like, sure, it's extra cash. The government doesn't. But during a great financial recession, you're collecting unemployment. That's not going to cover, the requirement, my overhead.
Well, you're still here. Can you hear me, Joe? But you are a little bit lag. There's a little lag time here, I think. Well, there,
The lag?
it's just a little fuzzy,
Yeah.
maybe the Wi-Fi or something like
Okay.
that.
Let's
But
see.
we'll keep going because I can hear you, and I'm assuming everybody can hear you.
Okay.
So, you know,
Yeah.
talking to you in Las Vegas and watching you work with your hands, showing, you know, looking at your photos that you share in the groups. Yeah, everybody says we can hear Joe, so we're all good. Um, you have a
Okay.
passion. You have a real passion and a real talent. And what a cool thing to have talents in both worlds. So what keeps you excited about the industry, you know, today?
Always getting ahead, learning new things. I got to give a shout out to Shannon. You know, a little off topic, but I got to give a shout out to Shannon. I ran into one tile
Yeah,
store here locally, and she was the one who introduced me to
yeah,
the forums. I knew in my back of my head is like, all right, so how can you get to the next level? You know, my father, he was always into the high end stuff, marble. That's all he did, just marble, high end. You know, these mansions with 5, 6, 10 different bathrooms in a house with elevators and indoor pools and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, it's got to be a little more than 12 by
yeah.
12s and 18 by 18s. So then water jets came in and stuff like that. So Shannon introduced me to that, to the forums, and you know, I got to learn some new things. Was introduced to other people, the same passion. Um, then I stumbled across by the
Yeah.
CTI, Certified Tile Installer, and from there I became a sponge. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to see what other new products there is, and that's why I stumbled upon Gage porcelain panels. And that's been, you know, in this in any industry, you have
Yeah.
to always stay ahead of the game. And the finished product that we create, which is art,
Yeah.
is a beautiful thing. You know, there's one thing that you're working behind a computer, you create a financial model, you save a company a couple $100 million. You know, there's a passion for that, but working with your hands, it's and coming up
Yeah.
with a finished beautiful product, it's something that is
Yeah.
just truly unbelievable. So you always strive to be better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's great attitude, Joe. How much of that thin panel, large panel format tile are you doing right now? Okay,
We've been in it for 3 years, and every year we've been growing at about 120% year over year, in terms of panel quantity and as well as revenue. So that segment of our business
okay,
has grown tremendously. It's a high profit margin, but it also takes a lot of your time, a lot of your resources. Um, so the volume mentality of running a
okay.
business is out the door,
So it's higher profit
you
per
know.
job, but
So
less
when
jobs, or yeah, yeah,
you're doing less jobs, exactly. So you're doing higher profit, you're hitting the same revenue. Um, so going back to that, yeah, we're probably about 60-70% of our general sales have been through Gage Porcelains. We've
are
been
you, how
focusing
many,
on
do you
that,
have employees or
honing in.
subcontractors, or how are you running that?
We have subcontractors for the usual, for the
Sure,
other trades, you know, sheetrock,
sure,
if we're remodeling a bathroom, you know, plumbers, electricians. But other than that, we keep a thin, tight crew.
yeah,
We have about 2, 3 full-time employees. And then I'll take in, if I have to hire, you know, a few other people on a different other companies
yeah,
just to give us an extra push,
nice,
we'll do that. You know, with high-end stuff, you have to slow down. You can't run, you
yeah,
know, like
yeah.
in commercial jobs.
That's great advice. Slow down, you know, focus on the details, focus on, you know, the how and the why, and these panels are a whole nother game. What advice would you give to someone if they're wanting to get into the panel game?
Uh, Work with somebody else. Don't go ahead and attempt it yourself unless you know you've got a lot of hours into it. You will make mistakes. Um, Attend all these courses that
Yeah,
are out there. talk out and not network with other individuals, other outfits, contacting manufacturers. I'm constantly on training events with either, any setting manufacturer, substrates, the tile manufacturers. You want to learn as much as you can, because every time you attend one, you're learning something new. Because you might not absorb it the first time. You'll pick it up the second time, then the third time. And then, you just got to have a natural knack to it. It's just what we do. Our specialty is the veining. So where we continue the veins from one end to the other wall, flow it into the niche.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's art.
It's true. It is art, and it is gorgeous. And I love the fact that you said you're specializing in that. You can find, for your friends listening and watching to this, you can find niches within niches, and the further niche down you can get in a business, sometimes is one of the most the quickest ways to differentiate yourself and stand out from the crowd. I mean, hey, I install tile. I install, everything from floors to walls to commercial to residential to new construction. I mean, you're just like any other Joe out there, well, no pun intended. You're not like Joe. Joe is standing out. And the fact of the matter is it's a beautiful thing. How does one start saying, I'm going to specialize in veining thin panels? I mean, do you just do it?
It's crazy how I got into it. I had a client who found me on Instagram, saw us do other panel work, and he goes, I want you to do it. I was like, listen, this was like a 15 panel job. The wife had one bathroom, the husband had another bathroom, 2 master bathrooms and a master bedroom. It's ridiculous. So they had these extravagant veinings, in a small walk-in shower, curbless. Another contractor set up the job. So we had to, I just stepped into it. It's crazy. I go back to that story about 3 years ago when I first did a veining one. It's all about trial. It's not about trial and error. It's more about being a problem solver. And that's what I learned through corporate America. You have a problem. Don't dwell on the issue, become a problem solver. So when you're dealing with 4'8" panels and you're in a shower that's only, 3 feet by 5 or 6 because it's a walk-in, and because they have the rest of the bathroom was just ginormous. And then you got to continue all those veining. So you want to have all your ducks in a row. Like I call it back in corporate America was CYOA, cover your own ass. So we actually did these templates on the wall, and we made sure the homeowner signed off on it. And we did with these with the paper, like a 3D model. So, all right, you want this vein here? This is how we're going to end up doing it here. Continue pattern A, pattern B, pattern C, pattern D, and it just worked. The finished product was just unbelievable. And then from that particular job, our name through Porcelain Panels, through the manufacturer, started going around, and some of my pictures were starting to go around on social media, and
people started finding you.
Made ourselves a name.
Are your client? I guess I got a weird question here, but it's something that came to my head. Are your clients buying extra panels to make sure that they get the veins, or how does that work?
When you're in it for a while, you know the limitations on the panels. There's been certain instances that we're manhandling these things with 2 suction cups. I got the mortar on the back side of it. You just feel comfortable with it. The first time you're like very iffy, and we're only doing 6 millimeters. But no, we're not ordering any extra. Because they're expensive. They're about my prices,
Sure.
I don't want to disclose it, but for a consumer, they're almost about $1,000 a panel. So ask your client to buy another $1,000 panel. If you don't use it, it's not really returnable. It's a fine line. There's really small margin error. And that's what we come across with our clients is, listen, our competition is going to probably break 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be. Do you want to go in that far in that investment, or do you want to do it right the first time? Because it's super high end stuff. You don't have an error. Yeah, one will break. You just got to make sure that
Yeah.
panel is accessible. We don't work with manufacturers, don't have it here stocked in the USA, or else you're going to be in a backlog for
Right now, that's
5
what
to
you're
6 weeks.
hearing. What I've got a couple more questions for you, Joe, but I want to remind the audience to throw their questions up in the chat room if they have any for you. What where are you headed? What's getting you excited right now? After we get back to work more normal.
This is a good opportunity. I guess this was the blessing in disguise. Everybody's talking about resetting.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, and we've been on lockdown for 4 weeks. I shut down. My wife is immunocompromised, so we don't stay in. So I took the opportunity to tighten up everything. The books, our sales process, our communication with our contractors. So I feel a lot better and relieved that I finally had the opportunity to clean up the back end office. So hopefully once the economy restarts, hopefully soon rather than later, we can hit the ground running, and we're going to go in the way we were before, but more energized and more focused, and just focus on those particular 2 avenues that we like to do: high-end mosaics and high-end porcelain panels. It's not about volume. That volume game is over. We were doing that 2-3 years ago. Just focus on your niche. Don't be in a million places all at once. Utilize technology to the fullest. This is amazing, by the way. This definitely has a future. So we're hoping that we can perhaps implement this as well in our business. It's almost like a home show. We could actually implement that. That would be awesome.
We're actually recording all this, and we're actually streaming live to YouTube simultaneously. So you're right. You can do home shows, and there's so much. So I'm excited to see your passion and your drive. We've got a couple questions from the audience. First of all, what's your company name, Joe? I apologize.
It's a Modern Room Remodels. Find us on social media outlets. It's MR on Instagram, Facebook, all the video outlets. I'm very active on it, and as well as our webpage as well.
Great.
Did I lose you?
You're still coming in. You got a little choppy, but we heard most of that. The other question was how many people in your company?
Oh,
do you do full bathroom remodels and kitchen remodels, or is it just tile installations?
We want to go in and go out fast as we can. So remodels, we were doing that, and that's how our name started. Then, when there's a time value in your money. So I rather focus on just the tile aspect of it. Do we do it? I would only do it if we're doing porcelain panels, so I can do all the prep work myself. Because particularly you have to have walls very, very flat, very level, especially when you're doing veining as well.
That makes sense. And just one more time, go ahead and say your company name again. It's MR Remodels on Instagram, at MR Remodels. Is that correct?
At MR Remodels.
Okay.
Mr. MR Remodels.
Cool.
And it's on Facebook and as well as Instagram. You'll see some of our porcelain panels.
And then my last question for you, Joe, being that you are multi-talented and your background in the financial world, what advice financially can you give a guy like me, to get started with maybe I'm not as prepared to weather this storm that we're currently in and might, be in for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a mentor. I would definitely highly recommend, if you're passionate in this trade or whatever trades that you're in, have a mentor. That's number one. Number two, follow a person who's successful. Use them.
A business.
They set up. It's so important. So important. If you don't do it by cost basis, it will affect you. Will affect you significantly. You want to be so efficient in your numbers that you know where the last penny went. You know, allocate gas to that particular job. Allocate labor. You know, we're using T-Sheets, which is phenomenal. It's integrated with QuickBooks. QuickBooks owns them. I highly recommend that, and do your cost average. The hardest thing that I found, and I come from a financial background, QuickBooks setting up a chart of accounts.
Yeah.
Hire a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Hire a bookkeeper.
Amen.
Let them set it up. It is the biggest hindrance on any kind of business. Once you have that guidance, setting up those QuickBooks and a chart of accounts, and you do the online version, you drop everything in, you can establish your business so much more efficient. If you're not efficient in the good times, and now we're in the bad times, forget it. You're going to get crushed. You're going to get crushed. It's in any kind of business, whether you run a restaurant or a pizzeria or you know, wedding banquet hall, whatever it is. That's the biggest thing. We have so many talented craftsmen. You got to know your back end. What you're doing in tile money, it's such an integral piece. So it's also an inspiration for others to hopefully they can follow that.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for sharing that wisdom and your story. Really appreciated.
Am I losing you?
Yeah, you are cutting out, but we did hear pretty much everything, Joe. So thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story. And I agree. I always say you can be selling hot dogs on the street, or you could you know, have a multi-billion-dollar real estate company. The fact is, you have to know your numbers, and you can make money only then. So, all right, we're going to end this here. We've got another 15 or so minutes of networking, and then we're going to have Ron Nash as our final interviewee. So we're going to look forward to that and get to know each other. And thank you guys for participating. We're going to have another one of these next week, next Friday, the 17th, I believe, same time. So Joe, thank you again, and we'll have another presentation here in about 15 minutes.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.